Most people know Daniel Radcliffe as the boy with the lightning scar, the chosen one, the face of a billion-dollar franchise, the hero of a magical world that defined a generation. But what happens when the lights dim, when the robes are packed away, and the world stops calling you a wizard? Behind the wand and the fame was a child who never asked for the spotlight, a teenager trapped in a role larger than life, and an adult clawing his way back to selfhood. This is not just the story of Harry Potter. This is the story of Daniel Radcliffe. Of identity lost and courage found. Of overcoming addiction, social anxiety, and the crushing weight of global expectation. A journey not to escape magic, but to discover the real magic of being yourself. This is the story of a man who could have vanished into typecasting or scandal, but instead chose growth, truth, and art over comfort and fame. Daniel Jacob Radcliffe was born on July 23, 1989, in Queen Charlotte's and Chelsea Hospital, London. His mother, Marcia Gresham, was a casting agent. His father, Alan Radcliffe, a literary agent. Raised as an only child, Daniel grew up in a creative household filled with books, films, and imagination. But life wasn't always easy. Daniel struggled with dyspraxia, a coordination disorder that made even the simplest tasks frustrating. Tying shoes, writing neatly, and participating in sports became constant challenges. This made school harder than it needed to be. He felt different, isolated, and unsure of his own capabilities. He wasn't particularly academic, nor was he especially outgoing. But what he did have was an interest in storytelling. At age 10, he landed his first acting role in the BBC's adaptation of David Copperfield, playing the young version of the title character. That performance, though modest, would open a door into something extraordinary. In 2000, at just 11 years old, Daniel was cast as Harry Potter. After several auditions, parental hesitations, and a lot of pressure, Warner Brothers knew they were creating a multi-billion-dollar franchise, and they needed someone who could carry the weight of it for a decade. From the very first film, Daniel was thrust into global fame. He went from a normal British schoolboy to one of the most recognized faces on the planet. At first, it was magical. He was surrounded by incredible actors like Maggie Smith, Alan Rickman, and Richard Harris. He learned everything he could. He grew up on set. But the fame quickly became overwhelming. Daniel began experiencing anxiety both on and off camera. The pressure to be perfect, to represent not just a character, but a global brand, was relentless. Paparazzi followed him everywhere. Fans expected him to be Harry Potter in real life. As he got older, the world watched him go through puberty, emotional changes, and deep self-doubt, all in front of the lens. The magic turned into pressure. The excitement faded into fear. He started drinking. During the filming of the last few Harry Potter movies, Daniel turned to alcohol as a way to cope with the anxiety, the expectations, and the overwhelming noise in his head. He would show up to set hungover. He began to fear that without Potter, there was no path forward. Would the world accept him as anything else? Would he accept himself? At 21, Daniel made a critical decision. He chose sobriety. There was no dramatic meltdown, no media scandal. It was a quiet personal choice. He realized that the path he was on would not lead to healing. So, he stopped drinking. He restructured his life, surrounded himself with supportive people, and started working on his mental health. He also made a creative leap of faith. Instead of pursuing blockbuster films to maintain his fame, Daniel turned to the stage. He starred in the controversial play Equus, a psychological drama in which he appeared nude on stage. It was raw, unsettling, and powerful, and it forced the audience to see Daniel Radcliffe as an actor, not a child star. Critics were stunned. This wasn't Harry Potter. This was a brave, committed performer, demanding to be taken seriously. He followed that performance with bold, offbeat film choices. In Kill Your Darlings, he portrayed Allen Ginsberg diving deep into the beat poet's complexity. In Swiss Army Man, he played a flatulent, partially decomposed corpse, yes, really, and somehow made it both heartbreaking and hilarious. These choices weren't about fame, they were about truth, about regaining control of his career, about experimenting and growing. He chose courage over comfort, again and again. Daniel Radcliffe rebuilt his reputation, not through PR moves, but through work. His filmography is now a tapestry of risk-taking and reinvention. From the supernatural thriller The Woman in Black to the absurdist action of Guns Akimbo, to the heartwarming satire of Miracle Workers, Daniel has never allowed himself to be boxed in, but his rise wasn't just professional, it was deeply personal. He began speaking out about his struggles with mental health and addiction. He gave candid interviews about the difficulty of growing up famous. He dismantled the idea of celebrity as perfection. He let people in. He became a fierce ally for LGBTQ+ rights, donating to causes like the Trevor Project. He championed body positivity, anti-bullying efforts, and children's health organizations. He supported theater arts for underprivileged youth. He used his voice for something bigger than himself. In a world where child stars often fade or fall apart, Daniel stood up, and he stood for something. So what is Daniel Radcliffe's legacy? It's not just Harry Potter, though that character changed lives. It's not just the bold theater performances or indie film risks. It's this: radical reinvention. Daniel Radcliffe showed that you can outgrow the role the world gave you, that fame does not define you, that trauma does not own you, that healing is a journey, that vulnerability is strength. He redefined what it means to be a child star. He proved that you don't have to break to evolve. He made being open about sobriety, awkwardness, mistakes, and recovery something powerful, not shameful. Today, he continues to thrive. Whether playing Weird Al Yankovic in a biopic, starring in surreal comedies, or quietly supporting causes off camera, Daniel Radcliffe is living proof that the real magic isn't in spells or wands. It's in courage, in resilience, in choosing your truth over your fame. And that's why his story will endure long after the final credits roll. Choose the path that feels right, even when it's hard. Rewrite your story like Daniel Radcliffe did. Your truth is your greatest magic.
Friend, fill me in slow. Old friend, start from hello.